Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. I am Siddharth Zarabi and with me Karthik Rao, the Chief Executive Officer of Nielsen, the largest measurement agency in the world of media all over the world. Karthik, welcome. And I must briefly introduce you to our audience that you're native to Chennai, if I may say that. You were born in Bengaluru. Your parents still live there, but you are amongst those chief executive officers of Indian origin who, work and lead very large multinational corporations. So delighted to have you here at our studio. We are doing this as a conversation which is going live on digital. We call ourselves the Business Today Multiverse, and the India Today group also has a very large presence on digital. So on that note, what I really want to start with today is to get you to tell our audience about the world of measurement when it comes to television, video, in the overall digital and social piece. In 2024, what are the newer innovations that we can expect?
Thank you, Siddharth. Thanks for having me. I just want to call out what an honor it is to be here. I'm super excited. Look, this year is going to be a very important year in the world of media and ultimately for measurement for a few simple reasons. Fragmentation continues to be a train that keeps driving through, as driven by how media, ads, or content continue to be delivered. It used to be broadcast and cable. Now you have over the top, you have connected television, then you have PC mobile. All of this fragmentation makes it a very interesting challenge to ultimately answer the simple question, which is what do consumers actually do? Where do they do it? And to do it in a way, measurement is challenged to do this in a way where ultimately you add it all up and there's still 24 hours a day and over 1.3 billion Indians, right? And so the only way to get to this is to have a unified measurement system, which is to continue to measure broadcast and cable, but also have measurement systems that are all about digital video, whichever way it's delivered, and then the ability to unify them so that you can actually get to things like reach and frequency, which advertisers really care about. And it's not so fragmented where a buyer or seller of media has to spend a lot of time cobbling things up together, because that's not great for the consumer experience, right? We all get ads today, so much hit so much, mostly I think because we don't have unified measurement to talk about how many ads does Siddharth really need to see for a given product. And how do you do that? Measurement plays a really important role. And this year, there's going to be a lot more breakthroughs in that area.
Let's talk about India. And overseas, in the developed markets, this word called cord cutting has been in vogue for years now. And over the last few years, especially after COVID, when digital consumption sort of boomed, we've seen OTT, we've seen traditional television also continue to perform. Is India the most interesting media market globally, where all manner of media does its bit and is also consumed simultaneously in some ways?
Yeah, I think India is a real microcosm for how consumption takes place. Remember, in India, a lot of media consumption also, like many other markets in South Asia, tended to be mobile first. And so that has just continued the amount of innovation. As everything I've seen, connected TV spend and consumption is on the rise in India, much far ahead than many parts of the world. So it's a real microcosm for how fragmentation in delivery of media, ads, and content takes place. But I think it's really important at the same time to make sure that measurement systems are keeping up with this, and the value of measurement systems in a role that it plays to make sure consumers are being treated the right way. Number one, their privacy is being considered in the way measurement takes place. Personalization doesn't become to a point where consumer data is being traded in an unfair way. One, and two, the actual experience when they, the ad loads and the number of times they see the same ad is managed in a way, because with so much fragmentation, wherever you go, if you start getting hit by the same ad, it becomes a problem. You really have a dissociation with the brand, not an association with the brand.
Absolutely.
So this is where I think India has a great opportunity to innovate, and we're doing a lot in India, as you might know, mostly on the digital measurement side. So connected TV, mobile measurement of ads is a very big focus for us.
How significant is connected TV in the Indian context, I was last year at one of the largest advertising industry events in Goa, and I heard some of the biggest ad guys in the country keep mentioning connected TV. But if you talk about the average consumer, they might just look at you and say, "Hey, what is connected TV?" So, explain this.
I think it's really important, and the term connected TV is actually an important one to understand, because connected TV basically means an actual television that's connected to the internet, right? So what does that actually do? That has the power, because it's IP delivered, it has the power to give unique experiences almost at the household level. I mean, if you think about addressability is a term we use, because it's all digitally delivered, you could potentially have different ads during the same program in different homes because it's IP delivered. That's the opportunity. The addressability of connected TV is really important compared to broadcast and linear, where everybody typically gets to see the same
It's
thing,
the
right?
same thing that is served to everyone.
So this is about the digital transformation in media. But the beauty is connected TV sits at the intersection of the best television experience, which is a large screen, and the best digital capability, which is IP delivered. That's why it's such an important battleground, and there's so much growth there around the world, including in India, because it sits in the middle of both experiences and capabilities.
Top of mind, are you able to recall and talk about numbers? How much of connected TV penetration are you aware about in India and globally, and any growth projections that you can share?
Yeah, in the US, connected TVs are already in the 70+% penetration, so it's a big part. I think even in India, the last numbers I saw were like 40% in the next 2 to 3 years. It's significant. And so you can imagine the advertising and media delivery opportunity that offers to do personalization, right? So it's the same TV experience, but way more catered towards the household than ever before. So this is a big battleground and a very important area where the next challenge is going to also be really important, Siddharth, which is discoverability is a challenge, right? Today, it's not as simple anymore to find what you want to watch.
Because there's just so much of it.
There's so much of it, and there's so many vehicles of delivering it to you, whether it's, you go to your linear TV feed, or you switch to an app, or it's on your mobile device, or all of the above. That becomes the next frontier. So there's a lot of innovation on how to simplify that for consumers, which then ultimately improves the consumer experience. Choice is a good thing. It also leads to complications.
Choice is a good thing, and too much choice is always a bit of a problem. Coming back to the point about connected TV, one of the concerns, both in media companies and advertisers, has been that the younger generation, the mobile first generation, especially in the Indian context, doesn't just ever sit in front of a large screen television. Do you expect connected TV to change that and somehow get the younger generation of consumers, and this is very important for advertisers, to spend some time in front of that large screen display? Is that happening elsewhere, or?
It is absolutely happening, Siddharth. It's a really important thing. I mean, even YouTube publicizes this. A big part of YouTube consumption, which used to be only on the mobile device, is happening a lot on the big screen now. So every TV now comes pre-populated with a lot of apps. And so that's going to move the battleground for the screen, because it's ultimately a better experience to watch it on a big screen. So I think that innovation will continue, where how your mobile device used to be the conversion device for everything to happen, TV and what's happening on a traditional smart TV are also changing quite dramatically. And it's not just about social, it's also things like shopping. All of these innovations are now hitting your smart TV. So I do continue to think the smart TV, as is called, connected TV, becomes a new battleground even for younger consumers, because they want to pivot their experiences between different devices. So that is a trend.
What does this mean specifically for advertisers and for content creators?
Yeah, I mean, I think the opportunity for advertisers, look, firstly, you're getting the best ability to deliver the best video experience, so an ad delivered to the best video experience, which is a large TV, but also addressable and personalizable, which is ultimately what everybody wants. Now, you have to do that in a way that's privacy compliant, obviously, but the technology and opportunity exists. And for content creators, this is again, it's sort of similar in the sense you can think really differently about customizing what's unique to various people in the same household. People have choices now where, if you think of any of the apps on your smart TV, there's a unique profile to each individual, even in a household. So your choice for content is so personalized to what you want. So this is where the game is going, and it's really exciting because consumers are no longer homogenous, and it's about me as an individual, and that's a very exciting thing.
I've been a journalist all my working life, and we are here at the studio of one of the largest media groups, Multiverse, present and available in all formats. What is the future of news? I know it's a bit of a question that might be different from just the data question, but what's the future of news?
Yeah, I think what's really important, if you look at typically news consumption, I think news has a big role to play still in appointment-based viewing. Because well-produced news, journalism, I see journalism and news as obviously one and the same thing.
Yep.
Good journalism is going to be increasingly important in a world where there is a lot of misinformation and fake news being propagated just because of technology. So to me, as the world normalizes to knowing that, hey, I got to get my news from trusted sources, I think that bodes really well for great journalists like you. And ultimately, to me, it helps with actually bringing people back to television. Because if you think about it, even the two biggest things that are watched on live TV, typically, sports, news. Those are the two biggest things that are always watched.
But sports obviously dominates and outright.
Sports dominates, but I think as the task of journalism continues to evolve in terms of delivering information that's trusted, I think the experiences that deliver that trust and the mediums that deliver that trust are also important. So as a simple example, people reading a lot of stuff on their phones are not going to view eventually news and the quality of news the same way when they see it with a great journalist like you on TV. The psychology of trust changes dramatically, and I think that's where this is going to go. I think it's really important that in the world of amount of misinformation and fake news that's there is never a more important time than now and the future for this big rise of actual journalism and the mediums that deliver it in a trustful way, which tend to be good video experiences.
Karthik, what do you think the news industry journalists need to do to continue to remain relevant? You said that news has a future, but I'm sure we also have to continuously adapt. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think for news has to evolve by not just understanding the technology as a medium of delivering it, but technology is a way of delivering trusted news and information. And I think there's a nuance there that's really important. Because when people view just digital distribution as a way just to get things out there versus, hey, how do I think about the copyright information from great journalists like you as an example, right? That has to be a different way of thinking about it. So copyright becomes really important. Regulatory environment becomes really important in a digital context. That, I think, raises the bar on the quality of journalism relative to fake news or misinformation.
And the impact of AI, and we've already seen that also play out. Let me switch gears and ask you a question that's also relevant in India. Why do TV ratings invite controversy, especially, and why has it happened in the past in India?
Yeah, so I think, ratings are really an important dimension. So look, as the leader of the largest, audience measurement company on the planet, we take what we do really seriously. And the reason I say that is because measurement has a very important role in shaping consumer opinion. Because what gets seen on a device or a television is what shapes human minds, right? The exposure to content. So to do that in the most sophisticated way, the bar always has to be high. And so the methodology, the technology has to continue to evolve. Because of this much fragmentation, I think a lot of, even Nielsen has been challenged around measuring so much of fragmentation only using, for instance, a small panel of homes, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
And that bit, sorry to interrupt you, is spoken about a lot because the size of the Indian market.
right. So one is the size of the panel relative to the market, but the other is also panels are really amazing at giving you an actual human-centric input into the system. But when there's so much fragmentation, the panel has to work 10 times harder and it cannot. So you've got to figure out ways to marry what you get from good panels with actual census data, as we call it. So data directly from the exhaust of digital distribution systems. You got to marry these two. So whether data from a cable box, data from an app, data from smart TVs, you got to marry these two. And these are the innovations that we're obviously bringing across the world in many markets. Because it's so important to evolve measurement along with the way consumer behavior is evolving and what creates the best robust measurement. But look, like measurement, the measurement company is always the referee, and the referee is always gets punched in the face when one team is not performing as well as they want.
One of the profound shifts that is happening, and a question that comes out of all that you just described is, are TV ratings relevant anymore from an advertiser's decision to spend, for example?
I think. Look, television. The decline in cable subscriptions. These are all real things, right? But I still believe, and there's a lot of marketers who still believe that the television experience is still one of the best ways to do brand building, right? So you have to think of the world as two ways. One is precision marketing, which is hyper-personalization, which tends to be more about getting a response from you. Buy a product, click on this.
And digital is best.
And digital does a lot of that because of personalization. But the way you think about a brand, for that, the experience of video matters. The context matters. And for that, television, however defined, CTV or traditional broadcast and cable, still plays a very, very important role. So I think it is still important because brands have to build equity over a long period of time. And so the way you deliver that is also going to continue to be important. It's not just all about precision marketing just because the technology enables it. Brand building is equally important, and marketers have to keep both of those in balance, and then the vehicles to deliver whichever objective you have.
So the brand building opportunity on TV and the reach that social provides, for example.
Yeah, I agree. Also, in many parts of the world, still, like linear TV has a really good reach. It's not that linear TV, the reach is not that great, right? And you can get it actually far easier than you can in digital because you have to get it from many different places, right? So it depends on the market, but not to give up on the fact that linear TV does not have reach. It does have reach, and it does offer a great opportunity to build brands.
So if there was the large advertiser watching this conversation, and perhaps he may have a question, what should I do? What kind of choices in terms of the platforms, not the brand specifically, but TV, within digital, social, what would you advise him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always the intersection of the goals you have, right? So what goals are you trying to accomplish? What is the audience and who is the audience you're trying to reach? Is it younger people? Is it younger audience? And ultimately, what are your brand goals? Are you trying to get a direct response? Are you trying to build your franchise and the equity for your brand? Usually every campaign has some intersection of these three things. And that determines the best way to go forward in terms of your media plan. And agencies do a good job of guiding you through that process. But I think this is always going to be, the intersection is who am I trying to reach? Why am I trying to reach them? And what do I want them to do? Those three things ultimately shape your choice of vehicle for delivering your message. And that'll just continue to be. It's more complicated because you have more choices. But still, there's more opportunity now to get it right than ever before.
As we wind down this conversation, two quick points. The first, in terms of the future of the Indian media landscape and the areas that you yourself and your company knows very well, what does the future look like? A mix that will continue to survive, or a dominant shift towards just one kind of consumption pattern?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of this is also what happens in the regulatory environment, right? I think that's really important to keep in mind. So one of the things that's really important is if you take a step back, media shapes our opinion as consumers, our opinion as citizens in a country. So media, having free access to media is going to be an important thing because it's a form of education, it's a form of shaping opinion. So I think that is another dimension for how this evolves. The conversation has moved disproportionately to technology and the enablement of technology and CTV and digital and PC and mobile. But there's a bigger role for media and advertisers, which ultimately is to do good. Ads are good, I believe, and many people believe ads are good for humanity. It educates you about products and about new ways to drive consumption in your life and improve your lives. The same way media, news, shapes your opinion, shapes your thinking. So I continue to see this intersection of technology and what it enables, obviously with AI playing an important role in the next chapter. But I also see, getting the balance right between making sure that everybody has access to the right kind of information and is exposed to the right messaging. It's going to be an interesting, I can't predict how it's going to shake out. All I can tell you is it's one of the most interesting and important questions in the world of information and media going forward.
You touched upon AI, and that was my last question. If you go around the promenade in Davos, and I'm sure you've done that, the one thing that strikes you is possibly a dozen sort of setups which talk about AI. How will AI impact this industry, an industry that you know so very well?
Yeah, I think the AI has been around a while, right? There's machine learning, deep learning, there's all kinds of different AI streams that have existed for a while. I think the biggest example is what we have seen with generative AI, as most promoted by what we have seen with ChatGPT, right? And a lot of that is about making lives more simple, more effective, more efficient. And the line there that's crossed is there's a lot more creativity that is going to get unleashed. That's the good news because of how easy and accessible it is to do that.
But the negative part of it?
The negative part of it is, I think, making sure that creators, journalists, are their rights and what their creativity is protected and promoted in the right way. I think that's the intersection between the two. As with almost any big invention in life, there's good and bad. This is the balance that we have to get.
One of the biggest risks for a consumer of content would be how does he distinguish between what is fake and created by AI and what is genuine content, journalism, news, and whatever else created by genuine, credible organizations.
Yeah, I think that is ultimately the big chapter, right? That's going to unfold.
Will a fake watermark ever come up, which would help a consumer?
Here's what I'm going to tell you: there is no one who can replace Siddharth. That's for sure. So whatever you do will continue to be, purely copyrighted and assigned to you. That will always continue. It's my belief that that's where the world will converge. Because at the end of the day, all of this capability is meant to augment our lives. And yes, it has other side effects too. But I think the regulation will catch up. There's a lot of innovation here that I've heard around the role that regulations can play in advancing it, but in a safe and respectful way for everybody's rights, but also promoting creativity. And that's the exciting part.
Karthik Rao has been very generous with his words for me personally. I didn't expect that. But I want to end this conversation by thanking you, Karthik, for your time, for being so candid about many of the things that I put to you. And I think it's an absolute honor to have you here, especially with one of the most trusted, credible news brands that India has ever produced. Thank you for coming to the India Today, Business Today studio here at the World Economic Forum.
Pleasure all mine. Thank you for having me, Siddharth.
With that, it's a wrap on this conversation. I'll be back with more. Until then, goodbye.